Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is BJ and DG Talk Wrestling Episode 2 with your host, myself, BJ Drinks Beer.
And the one and only Danger Ginger. And as always, the man to keep us in line, Chef the Ref.
Chef the Ref. How you doing, everybody? Let's get this thing going tonight. We got a lot of stuff to get onto and a precious minutes to do it in. So we got to start off with the big topic of the week, the bloodline. This story just permeates everything that is the WWE. Started right off with Raw, where we found out, yes, Bronson Reed is officially the fifth man for this War Games match for one side, and the other side, they are really in some real trouble with nobody coming in. So, BJ, let's start off with you. Where on Monday night did you think the OG bloodline was at? Did they have any shot in hell of finding a fifth man?
I was still convinced at that point that it was going to be Seth.
What made you think it was going to be Seth? Like just because of his relationship with Roman, and you thought they'd be able to get over all that?
I thought he was going to be willing to overlook the beef with Roman because of his beef with Bronson Reed and just another opportunity to beat the hell out of each other.
So, Danger, what makes you think that Seth decided that wasn't enough?
It is really surprising that it wasn't Seth, especially after Bronson Reed defeated him with an assist from Bloodline 2.0.
Right.
Yeah.
It seemed like those stars were lining up for that. 100%. But in the end, they were still looking for a fifth man after Monday Night Raw.
And might I say, well played, WWE. You really
got very well played.
This storyline has had so many layers from the beginning to where it was getting Jay and Jimmy to both join. They had to have, what was it, the Hell in a Cell I Quit match or something like that to get Jay to finally be like, fine, I'm in. And then we get this immaculate run of the bloodline, despite how people might feel about it with Roman's title reign and everything. Whatever. It has still been for 4 years now since COVID, the top storyline in WWE.
If there's all wearing masks.
If anything came out of the COVID era, the pandemic era of shows, is this bloodline storyline. It was the perfect time to start because nobody thought Roman would have returned at that time, given his medical issues.
Yeah, a close second definitely being the Ezekiel and Elias saga, but that's that might just be my opinion.
Yeah, but that is a classic storyline that will stand the test of time, I'm sure, BJ.
But it has definitely seemed like since this whole thing has started with OG Bloodline and 2.0, that Solo's kind of been a step ahead of the game.
Solo has definitely had the upper hand, it seems, but now the OG Bloodline does have their wise man back as of Friday night.
Yes, so
the new bloodline look like a lot more of a cohesive unit right now than the OG bloodline do.
Oh, they do. Absolutely. They definitely look like they're on the same page, but also that bloodline didn't go through what the OG bloodline went through. That Solo was a part of, so he understands what can happen. But at the same time, I put it as a bunch of kids, a new gang on the block, just trying to make their mark. And with the way SmackDown kicked off with Bloodline 2.0 coming out and Solo telling Roman he will accept his terms of surrender.
There was no surrender.
Which led to that backstage conversation that we see with all four of them. And they're suggesting like, hey, Seth said he wouldn't do it. He doesn't want anything to do with Roman whatsoever. That Cody Rhodes is old news. Roman's done with that, and you know what? Good for him. Because right now, Cody and the WWE title is not the focus. He needs to become tribal chief first.
Yes.
and then get to the end of the night, and you have the confrontation, and Solo saying, "Hey, you're going to surrender, or you're going to die here, right now." As Roman's about to speak,
Ladies and gentlemen,
my name is Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Oh,
At that moment, BJ, who did you think was coming out with Paul for the fifth man?
Immediately, my thoughts went to Lesnar.
Lesnar? Yep. That was a lot of people's thoughts. Would have been one person that made sense. But
And then
we got
logic kicked in, and I was like, oh, yeah, no, they're not using him right now.
no. they did have another Heyman guy to use. And cue the living color.
Yeah. I kind of had a thought it could also be Punk. Brock Lesnar is a wild card because we really don't know the internal thoughts and the ability of everything legal wise if they want to use him right now.
Let's just say until he returns, he's not going to be
Yeah.
speculated about.
Yeah. There'll be rumblings, like the idea of maybe possibly him and Gunter at some point down the line, which I would love to see.
That would be a hard-hitting affair.
Yeah, it would be like a 5-minute affair, but yes, it would be hard-hitting.
Over under on German suplex.
4.5, just for the first 5 minutes of the match. But then, yeah. I was thinking that if there could be anybody also who could have gotten Seth to put that aside, it could have been Paul Heyman. Like, even then, I still had the thought, could he have gotten through to Seth? Like, look, there's the bigger picture. You might not like it, but when it was Roman in charge, things were not as wild with the bloodline. You knew where we stood and what we were doing. And they always made that clear. It was more like watching like The Godfather or something. Everything's just meticulous. Everything's thought out.
More mafia, less Crips and Bloods.
Yeah.
So,
but then
we cue the living color. CM Punk comes out and brawl is on. And from there, the OG bloodline stands tall in the ring with 4 of them raising ones, one of them putting people to sleep.
Now, there has been some interesting stuff noticed online from this. Like, Paul Heyman did not come out in his typical suit and tie and everything. It was way more casual, dress pants, just a jacket button with a t-shirt under it, looking very much like a type of outfit that Solo used to wear.
Mm-hmm, black on red. That was definitely noticed. And what's the message being sent there and to who?
And then like the smile on his face, the wink that looked like was to either Jimmy or Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a different Paul Heyman. And if it's anything I've learned about Paul Heyman, he typically doesn't manage the baby faces.
This is true.
Would we see CM Punk turn on OG Bloodline?
Or does Paul turn on the OG Bloodline?
Is it a sellout? That's basically the big question now. Is Paul selling out the OG Bloodline, or is he legit back as their wise man? Where does this War Games match? How just intense did Punk coming in just ratchet this up to? It was already at like 9.5, approaching 10. This just take it up to like 12, 13.
I mean, this is huge, and the possibilities of how this is going to play out. I mean, I've gone over it in my head so many times, and it's just I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to end up, this whole situation, and I love it when they can do that. And that's what I'm saying. Very well played.
Especially with considering Survivor Series, maybe not to the day, but to the pay-per-view, will be 1 year since CM Punk made his shocking return in Chicago on top of that.
Right.
So he's gone from debuting after the War Games match into now being probably the main event of the show and being in a War Games match. which I don't believe CM Punk has ever been in that style of match, unless he did the one that AEW does.
I don't remember if he was in that or not. That is, I'm drawing a blank on that, but we'll discuss AEW later. And CM Punk, he just doesn't discuss AEW anymore. So,
But I mean, there's a lot of things of the layering of this Bloodline storyline that I absolutely love, and that wherever it goes from here, it's going to be very interesting.
Oh
yes. Keeping in with War Games and Survivor Series, let's move over to the women's side of this. And oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into over here? This is just a giant, just mess for lack of. Speaking of a giant mess. Well, while BJ cleans that up, let's just give a little quick recap what we had here.
I'm glad it's a big bottle.
So we had the whole women's war game. I opened up Monday Night Raw of who we knew was all in there with the heels: Jack Stratton, Liv, Raquel, and Candice LeRae. So we get Belair, Jade, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane in the ring. And, you don't have a fifth person. It seemed to be a theme for the week for WWE of the fifth person.
This was my moment of the week.
And you get Rhea Ripley, who we were told was going to be out indefinitely, returning.
Comes out with the full mask on. And ready to go.
I like the mask she wore Friday night. That all black one. I think that one fits her better. Yeah. But wow, her coming out and then just screaming War Games in Liv Morgan's face and headbutting her.
Yeah.
Now,
perfect.
Outside of that, at that point, I'm excited for who's in the War Games match. But otherwise, the build-up's been a bit lackluster for me.
Well, they always seem to have a harder time building up the women's side of these things than they do the men's side.
Awkward.
Yes,
I feel like
is a good word for it.
I feel like Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, BJ, awkward is the word that comes to mind to describe it. Just super, just uncomfortable.
Do you feel it's awkward in the way that they've built the teams, the match overall, or just the combination of factors into it?
A little bit of everything. Like, the team building, like the Rhea Ripley thing was just out of nowhere. Like, it's like, what? Okay, great, but what?
Not really out of nowhere though, because
she was originally going to be in the match anyway, so she was just taking the spot back that was hers. The injury, they had to see how bad it was if she was going to be able to go or not.
But we were led to believe,
yes,
she was going to be out for a while.
Although Rhea Ripley, one can be spellbound looking at her.
That's right.
I mean, this is not the first time we've had, they've done it with Cena a couple times, where, he's going to be out for this amount of time, and then he just magically returns.
Surprise.
Yeah, hey, I like not knowing that these people are coming back. I like having that feel of nostalgia like I did when I was younger and wasn't as smart about the watching wrestling as I am now.
Yes.
But the women's war game has its twist as well.
Oh, it does. On Friday night when we had that match going on with Bianca and it was Tiffany Stratton and who else was in that?
No, it was Blair Davenport, Bianca Belair, and Chelsea Green.
And Chelsea Green, right, wrong man. So, during that match, when we get that hit backstage in the video of Jade just laid out on top of a car, and Bianca has to run into the back rather than finish the match out. So, Jade's out, obviously, with that injury. Seems pretty major one. So, who do we get coming in her place?
Well, with all that, first of all, Chelsea Green, I'm rooting for you. I want to see you win this championship. I think she highly deserves it. with this whole Jade Cargill thing going out, there's a lot of implications to it because now she's out of War Games and she's also no longer in the U.S. women's title tournament.
Yep.
So, like, who attacked her? Why? And now, what does this continue? This kind of continues the curse of those women's tag team championships.
It does. Yeah, those women's belts, outside of the time when Chelsea and Piper had them, really did seem to be cursed. Like, everyone who got them at some point or another injured. Or
the only thing that has more injuries related in WWE is the NXT parking lot.
Yes, which is where Rhea got injured in the first place.
Right.
So who do we think is behind this attack on Jade? Well, we've seen a couple of ideas around, but what seems most plausible to you, DG?
I really probably think it's the women. It was probably Raquel, Nia, and all them, But if I not go with the obvious, part of me thinks it might have been Bayley.
Interesting theory. Please expound.
Well, the disrespect from Bianca specifically, toward Bayley every time she said something over the past couple weeks, Bayley hasn't exactly, I get it. She was a heel at one point. She did bad things, but she's been doing really good. She's been doing good things. She's been helping out Naomi, who they're all friends with.
Yep.
And so maybe, hey, Bayley attacked her to take the spot. Or just to have her taken out and go because she couldn't get to Jade or to Bianca at that point. Maybe it could have been Naomi as well. Like, hey, why are you disrespecting my friend?
What do you got, BJ?
Nikki and Alexa, Wyatt 6, next target.
Interesting.
For who?
Nikki and Alexa attack Jade, and that's going to be the next target of the Wyatt 6.
If this is something for an Alexa Bliss return, I don't want to see her return with the Wyatts.
No, I know. It's more of a joke.
Yeah.
I was just kind of trying to think outside the box, and I was like, wouldn't that be ridiculous?
That box got busted wide open there.
But I mean, there's other ideas like, hey, what if it was Charlotte?
Right.
But I don't see Charlotte needing to do that. I think that would be a situation where Charlotte would come in and demand.
That action would be below a queen.
Yeah, she'd come out and cut an obnoxious 10-minute promo and put down everyone.
I mean, the only queen
and then be handed a title shot.
Because she's queen.
Look, the only queen I see on WWE TV right now is Nia Jax.
Oh yeah.
Yes, she is the queen. So we could have dueling queens when Charlotte comes back at some point.
She's not like most girls.
But
sidetrack away. So anyway, going back to the match that was actually occurring when Jay got attacked, Chelsea Green getting that win and advancing into the tournament further. How far do we think she goes, and does anyone stop her?
I think she wins it. I personally hope she wins it. That's who I was rooting for before anybody was even announced.
Yeah, and then we both said last week we want Chelsea.
Yeah, hey, give her the respect that she's due. I thought she should have won Money in the Bank.
So could we say that if she wins this, she will be the female LA Knight? Is that kind of an appropriate comparison, the women's side and the men's side there, you think? Someone who's been in the business for a while, built themselves up, kind of had to reinvent a couple times.
I mean, LA Knight won world championships elsewhere, Like, Chelsea Green's always been right there, but doesn't usually get over to that next level. This is her.
Didn't she break her wrist in her debut twice?
Yes.
Yes.
No. But I mean before WWE as well.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying she's like snake bitten in WWE. Like, finally gets called up, breaks.
Yeah, that was a very poor timing of stuff considering where everything was at that time, and then I think she ends up getting released not long after that.
Right. And
I mean,
floating around her
because
husband for a while.
there was a lot of hype around her coming up from NXT at that time.
Yeah. I was looking forward to it.
Well, she
I
did
used to love
find
her.
her way back.
I used to love her in TNA as Laurel Van Ness with her makeup all smeared and in the wedding dress. Oh, it was great.
Oh,
I
we
think
did
she's
happen
really.
to catch a segment of hers on TNA from a few years ago, a couple weeks ago, and first I was just like, "Wait a minute, is that? Holy crap, it is!"
Like the seeing her in that ring. Oh wow! Wait a minute.
Good stuff.
So who? Whoa.
My
So who do you guys think replaces Jade Cargill in the women's U.S. title tournament?
Well, the one that I think I've heard makes the most sense seems to be Lash Legend. She's been getting a lot of rub lately. She's been coming up wrestling against main roster characters, and I think that she has got a legit shot to be brought in for this match. Management seems to be impressed with what they've seen, and it would make sense to get her up there on a larger stage.
I mean, that's the logical answer.
That's me, personal logic.
It really makes sense, But is this going to be a situation where it's like the injury replacement walks away with it?
You never know.
I mean, if it is her, I wouldn't mind seeing her at least get into the next round because I believe her side of the bracket would pair her up with Bayley. And then you get really the idea at that point of the faith they would have. Because what if she upset Bayley? That would put a lot of focus and and Chelsea's on the other side of that final. She would then be still the underdog because, like, hey, the person who beat the former Grand Slam winner.
Yep.
But I really do hope it is Lash Legend. I've been a fan of her since the first time I saw her. Like, it was like I had the same reaction to her I had the first time seeing Jade Cargill. It's just like whatever it is, it's there. It just has to be molded into what it needs to be successful.
All right.
And getting those reps on SmackDown would be a beautiful thing for her.
Yep. So also on SmackDown this week, Cody Rhodes really seemed to almost lose it completely this week during that whole face-off with KO, that whole situation there. He comes into the building. Nick Aldis is like, I don't even know if KO is here. I don't think you should go to the ring. Cody goes out anyway. KO's out in the audience. They start bickering back and forth, and we get where we are. So, DG, what did you see out of this whole situation there?
I saw two guys who are just ready to fight, except Kevin Owens wants to fight on his terms and not Cody's, which is Owens was being Kevin Owens. This is the Kevin Owens that he's been most of his career. Cody said it best, that KO has to be the victim. That is a trend with that. Like, he went and helped Roman Reigns, somebody I fought for 4 years. Okay, and
what?
You didn't help him. Like, just because he's your friend doesn't mean he shouldn't do something for the greater good. Because which was against the bloodline, this whole bloodline thing, and it was all for naught because didn't Solo pin Roman in that match?
Yes, he did. So, BJ, what do you think of Cody's actions backstage after everything in the ring? Do you think that all this seemed like there could be some repercussions for Cody with that whole situation?
Uh, eh, I don't know. I feel like babyface is just kind of, when do you see baby faces get suspended? When do you see, when do you see anything like that happen?
You
Like,
know.
no, I feel like he'll walk away from this just fine.
So
I
you
mean,
don't think no suspension, no fine for Cody,
No.
whereas
I'm
most other guys would be.
Man, babyface mid Carters, maybe. I don't know. They might want to set an example.
Cody could just be told to stay home.
Yeah, a week suspension. See you at the PLA.
Yeah. So forced to stay home for Thanksgiving and then shows up at Survivor Series.
Ugh.
From what I've seen, Cody, the title isn't going to be defended at Survivor Series.
Doesn't seem that way.
I'm assuming that it'll be a Saturday night main event in a couple weeks.
That would make a lot of sense considering, you
They've
want eyes on that.
And because you're also going to have the finals of the women's U.S. title tournament on that show. Like you can, I'm not sure if it's going to be an hour or 2 hour show. I know in the past when they've done the specials, they've been an hour. Usually a couple quick, 2 or 3 really big matches. Hopefully it's 2 hours, so that they
could get this one up to a 2 hour show, even with I think they could still pack the card pretty well, even at a 2 hour show length. Because it is going to be a special event. They could build some stuff up for that. They got a couple weeks.
Speaking of packing the card and time and everything, we might need all the time that's left to talk about AEW.
AEW this week was very intense. We had the first.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to mention NXT wasn't moved by a lot that happened except for the dismantling of Chase U. I don't know how I feel about that.
R.I.P.
That was something that knowing that it was a number 1 contenders match, seeing that Ridge had pinned Trick in the tag team match at the 2300 arena, you kind of saw it. So when they added that stipulation, it was like, oh, I hope they really don't go that route, because I love all of them together. But I'm sad to see it go, but I think for Duke that it's going to be pretty big for him to get back out there, possibly on his own or tag teaming with Riley.
And she is going to be a star. She just needs to do it on her own.
Yeah, this is Dia's time now. I think that either way, I have been saying it to Chef even recently in the past couple months, that I felt like it was time to maybe that Dia Hale, no matter how beloved she is as a part of that, maybe start steering her off, which I thought they were doing with JC Jane, getting her a bit more of that mean side, which they did through that feud and that storyline. But now, because she I think would be a great addition to the main roster once she actually is in there more regularly now. Like, let her actually develop this character now.
And real quick, just a shout out about the Wyatts and that Bo Dallas promo. Like, we were talking before we went live, and we legit thought that it was an old Bray Wyatt promo that they found a way to use. That was amazing.
Like, my jaw dropped because I legitimately thought I was looking at Bray Wyatt. like the way he even spoke, like he really channeled his brother.
Yeah.
Also, quickly from NXT, Nathan Frazier, Stephanie Vaquer, and Zarya qualifying for their respective Iron Survivor matches at Deadline.
Yep. Deadline coming up December 1st. Or is that the December 1st show, or is that later?
That's the December 7th show, which is on my birthday, as a matter of fact. So, happy birthday to me. I get to sit home and watch wrestling.
Yes, don't forget to send Danger Ginger lots of money as presents. He likes that.
Yes, I like the monies. The money's a lot.
Doesn't matter what denomination, what currency.
Oh,
He'll
no,
even
it
take
needs to be
Monopoly.
U.S. dollars. It needs to be U.S. dollars. I don't have time to be going through some exchange and end up getting less. All right. I ain't got time for that. But I
All
think
right.
it's time to move on to what was the main event of
AEW.
Full Gear last night, which
Full Gear.
boy, did I enjoy a lot of the pre-show stuff. I thought that the Fatal 4-Way match they had with the Beast Morphos, but and Buddy Murphy winning that with Commander, and I forget who else. But the hype man, his outfit. Shout outs to whoever got that outfit for him because it's a Vegeta Saiyan armor outfit. Yes. Absolutely.
It looked good. He was rocking it for sure. So, and then, of course, the big draw of the 0 hour for Full Gear was the Costco guys and the Rizzler getting eyes on the product there with the match against QT and Marshall.
Which, yes, that whole thing was just fun. That was exactly what I expected it to be.
It was something to bring in the kids.
Yeah, I'm not fully familiar with the whole Costco guys thing.
But you know what made it great? I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know what made it great is hearing Donnie B talk about it and like just knowing about it from him.
Yeah, that did help for me to become more familiar with these guys. But boy, also during that, some of the guys that wrestle for ISPW, GKM and the Space Academy, were the guys that came down with QT Marshall for the match. Which shout out to those guys.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen those guys, like try to find some footage. Those guys are amazing, all of them.
Shout out to the whole New Jersey independent wrestling scene.
GKM, your current ISPW champion, great guy. But that was just a really fun thing. And then you had Big Justice hitting the spear on QT.
Yeah, I'm sure he got a kick out of being able to pull a move off on a pro wrestler, other than his dad.
But, that was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And it was a bit better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It really was not an awful match. We've seen much worse matches put on between two supposed professionals in multiple leagues. So, yeah, this was definitely not the worst match I've ever seen. And good for these guys to getting on the show and putting themselves over the way they did.
Yeah, it was fun. And, anybody who wants to bash it or whatever, like, shut the hell up. It was on the pre-show. They didn't take anybody's spot, Like, wrestling has done this since the 80s. Why do you think Vince McMahon brought in famous people for WrestleMania? Muhammad Ali, Cyndi Lauper. Yeah, viral moments.
As a promoter, why would you not, if something is huge on the internet, huge on TikTok, whatever it is, why would you not want to get that person involved with your thing to get more eyes on your thing? Like, it's just common sense.
Especially when you're having a show where that person is from. Like, hey, you're not only that. Like, they did the video. It was the video from Dynamite of them backstage cutting their promo and stuff. And that video in 24 hours online had over 4 million views. Like, don't tell me. I might not know who these guys are, but that's because they're not in my demographic. But you know what? Don't tell me they're not over.
Oh, they're over.
Oh, no. I will say that much. Don't tell me they're not over.
Yeah,
because let's be honest, typically 4 million people don't watch an AEW video.
Right. Oh, God, no. I watched the short today where the Rizzler meets Orange Cassidy, and that is just brilliant.
Yeah, I saw the one where it was him going around doing the whole his whole little thing, and then the wrestlers were doing it and stuff too.
Right. Shout out to those kids for being where they want to be right now. So good for them. They figured out something we weren't able to at that age.
Yeah.
And from what
With-
I
with
guess we've
advantage.
learned from Donnie B talking about him on the Spocast, that hey, these guys have a system down of when to post stuff or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
guys have figured out the hack, like, hey, good for them, because they're taking advantage of every opportunity to get stuff out at the right time.
I just find it hilarious that I know about all this because of Nova's brother. It's like, yeah, it's weird how everything's connected.
Just full circles.
Yeah. So I guess we should move on to the main card of this now.
Yeah. Well, to end the pre-show, we actually had the Acclaimed coming out and to do their rap on the way into the ring. And could this be the last rap that the Acclaimed has coming out to the ring together?
Yeah, because Max Caster put himself over instead of him and Bowens. That
crowd
now,
was definitely anti-Caster. We got the FU chant at him. They were chanting Bowens. So, yeah, Caster's definitely getting himself some real heel heat out there right now. So, BJ, where do you think, how far do you think Max Caster takes this heel thing? Do you think he goes like full bore? Does he attack Bowens during a match at some point? What happens here? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's just it's hard for me to think of the Acclaimed like breaking up. You know what I mean? I'm a little taken aback. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it could be also leading toward them both turning heel and possibly joining in the Hurt Syndicate.
Hurt Syndicate doesn't seem interested in Bowens, though. They only seem interested in Caster.
Well, what if it's part of a thing with Max Caster? Like, come on, man, because Anthony Bowens has shown no interest. Caster has.
Caster also doesn't seem interested in bringing Bowens along if he does go to the Hurt Syndicate.
I mean, I'm just saying that could just because they're not on the same page which is obvious. They are not on the same page. No. But props during this match. There was a moment of this match which I absolutely loved. So, do you guys remember back in the Attitude Era when the Outlaws were the tag team champions? They were in a similar fatal 4-way match. And the other teams thought it would be funny if they both had both Outlaws tagged in at the same time. And one pinned the other, and while defending their title. Yes. Now, I love that. Apparently, AEW does not acknowledge this rule because you literally have Max Caster laying on the mat at one point, looking at Bowens like, pin me. If you pin me, we win the titles. He doesn't have to kick out. They win the championships. And obviously, the fall gets broken up. But yes. God, I was laughing. I really just enjoyed that moment of that match. For what was a really good match to open up that show. Yeah, like, props to House of Black, the Outrunners, who they're going to get their hands on gold soon enough. It's only a matter of time.
Oh, yeah. They are just pure energy. I love those guys.
Pure 80s energy, like.
Yeah, they bring that old school tag team mentality back to life, and they do it in a spectacular way.
Just recently watched their match back seats.
Yeah, I feel like tag team wrestling's really been on an uptick recently over the past 3 or 4 years. Like, it seems like there's been a new emphasis put on tag teams. And that you can see the slow rebuilding of it. Like, look at WWE as an example. Yep. Like, you have an actual tag team in the Motor City Machine Guns as the WWE tag team champions. And then you have the War Raiders, who are the number one contenders to, I guess they're both Judgment Day, but a makeshift tag team of Finn Balor and JD McDonough.
Who have known each other for years.
Yeah. So I'm saying it makes sense, but in the terms of they're both singles guys who just happen to have the tag gold right now.
Speaking of tag gold, Private Party held on to theirs, and so how long do we think they keep those belts? Do we think they keep them for a while, or do we think one of the other teams that was maybe in this match that didn't get in there? Do we think House of Black maybe comes back at them? Somebody else that we're not thinking of right now?
I think right now it could be the Acclaimed that will be the chasers.
I don't think it's
As
going to be the
they-
Acclaim. They seem
as
like
they
they're on a
kinda-
different path.
Well, hear me out here. Hear me out here. So, what else would keep Max happy? Winning those tag. Max wants gold. They are good enough as a team to get that title shot. And what if that's the moment where Max says no and he turns on Bowens in that tag team title match? Like that is booking 101 there to just get through it. Like, but then again, this is AEW, so we could show up Wednesday night to the show starting and Max Caster just kicking Anthony Bowens in the nuts. Who knows?
Speaking of tag teams breaking up, there's something we forgot to touch on from WWE that'll take a quick minute.
Touch
New
away.
Day.
Yes.
New Day.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would hate to see it happen, but it looks like it's heading that way. But you guys have a theory.
So it's a very minute thing that you could have missed. So Monday night when they have the backstage promo and it's Kofi talking to Alpha Academy, and if you look at what Kofi's wearing, because the teasing has always been Xavier's the bad guy in this situation, because he's the one showing emotion, he's the one upset and trying to get back onto the winning track. Kofi Kingston, if anybody's familiar with Dragon Ball Z and Majin Buu and all that, there's a sign. It's like a stretched out curse of M, and those are bad guys in Dragon Ball Z. And Kofi's the one wearing that necklace. Now we've seen how WWE likes to drop these little signs, and just along the way, like what if Kerry and them were right from the start? What if it is Kofi turning heel? Kofi's never really been a heel in his career. They were for a short time when the New Day first formed, but then we saw what the New Day became. And
if that is true, I want to see Xavier get a main event push. He's the only New Day member to not hold the world title.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of groups have that guy. Scott Hall was never a world champion, but still part of the NWO.
He was also never in a Royal Rumble.
Really?
Interesting.
Believe it or not. The character of Razor Ramon, played by Rick Bodner, was in a Royal Rumble, but Scott Hall was never.
I thought Scott Hall was in the Royal Rumble leading up to WrestleMania. That WrestleMania where he faces Austin.
No. The only appearance of Razor Ramon in a Royal Rumble. Oh, sorry. In a Royal Rumble was
Guys,
Rick Bodner.
you released the balloons too early.
Release the hounds.
You're talking about Scott Hall as Scott Hall.
Yes.
I'm saying Razor Ramon.
Okay.
Scott Hall was never Razor Ramon in a Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm wasting everybody's time here. Let's keep it moving.
All right, back onto the rails. AEW Full Gear. Second match we had MJF versus Roddy Strong after Roddy was successful in his 3-win straight, but Adam Cole was not, so it was just a one-on-one match between the two of them. MJF got real personal in the lead up to this, talking about Roddy's old family history. DG, do we think he got a little too personal there? What are your thoughts?
There's no line MJF won't cross.
Yes.
Let's just make that clear. This is and it's something I said this to somebody the other night. I'm like, MJF is so good at what he does that I want to boo him, but I can't because I'm legitimately a fan because of how good he is. Like, because typically the idea is you're supposed to boo the bad guy. And he'll always be my scumbag, regardless of how they book him. But also, just want to point out, MJF loves winning matches with the most basic holds ever.
Oh yeah,
You know, from
But he did wear down the limb.
no,
did.
but I'm just saying we've seen this man win matches with headlock takeovers.
yes. Just proves how
He's
great
that
of a
good.
technician he is.
He doesn't
Yes.
need a finisher. He's just that good.
Yeah.
But
he can change a match with a kangaroo kick.
But MJF really he wins the match going after that arm, locks in the salt of the earth. He calls the arm bar, right?
Yep.
And then Roddy, surprising to see Roderick Strong tap out.
Yeah.
That
Well, I mean, that arm was basically dead by the time he got to it.
Yeah.
and
He
then
what, like punched
and
the
then
ring post or
the
something?
aftermath after the match, and then putting his arm in the chair and stomping it,
Mm-hmm.
which brings out Adam Cole in the United Kingdom.
And Kyle O'Reilly pissed off that they weren't out there in time to stop it.
Yeah, I did pushing Adam Cole down, telling him to go after him.
Mm-hmm. So what do we think happens with this whole group? United Kingdom. How do they bounce back and get after MJF after this?
It's going to be Adam Cole 100% going after him. That's the point from the start. You know, MJF was trying to pit them against each other, and it didn't work. So now, go ahead.
I think maybe Strong goes on at some point down the line, feuds with Christian because now Christian has material.
Ooh, that's a good point. That is a real good point. I have never been shot by a woman. I am a better father figure than your father.
Oh God! Wednesday night, where they just sneak that in there, and they talk about everything else said in the promo. But then I'm like, really? Are we just not acknowledging the hippopotamus in the room? It's not even an elephant; it's a freaking hippopotamus.
Yeah, appropriate because hippos are deadlier than elephants.
Yes, deadliest animal over there.
Mm-hmm.
But this storyline's just getting started. Like, it's one of those things where we see so many things rushed in AEW, but due to injury, it also being stretched out. But them stretching this out even more.
Do you think they're going to stretch it out to bloodline lengths?
No, God no.
What are you talking years?
Yes.
I don't think AEW is going to do anything that long term.
How about be in existence?
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of. I mean, let's be honest. They're only a year older than the Bloodline.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, wow. When you put it that way.
Wow, that's crazy. The Bloodline's been around for 80% of AEW.
Because AEW wasn't even a full year in when COVID happened.
Right. All right. Well, rather than stretching this out with the first match anymore, let's go on to the next one with Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander for that TBS title. Now, in the lead up to this, Chris had beaten down Camille. So Mercedes coming in said she had to do the job herself, and she quite easily, well, not easily, but she did the job. BJ, what did you see out of Statlander in this match, and why do you think she just couldn't pull out the win?
I honestly didn't catch this match.
Oh.
All right. So I'll take the wheel here. All right. So now I want to start off by saying that since Monet has signed with AEW, this is the best match I've seen out of her by far.
Yes.
Like, it actually seemed like finally things are rolling her way. So I don't know. It was just that Statlander was able to carry her. But there was a lot of stuff that happened in this match. Mercedes worked on that knee, the knee injury and everything. It was just an awkward ending. Like, she bit Chris Statlander's leg and then practically rolled her up. Like, so that's how we're doing this. This is how we're going. This is how you're going out by
It
bite.
was an interesting finish. Yes.
Was this zombie Mercedes? Does Chris Statlander on Wednesday night show up as a zombie?
The alien
walking
versus
Monet.
zombie.
But it was a good match. Like
Yeah.
I really thought Statlander was going to pull it out. I feel like it's time to take the
It
title
definitely
off
looked
of
like
her.
it.
But there was also previous to that match of Monet getting into Camille's face, blaming her for some of the bad luck that's recently happened from her bad driving to her now being injured by Statlander with Camille's arm injury. You know, I think personally now Camille's the one destined to take that belt from her. I think Camille's better off. And I haven't gotten behind the whole her being a bodyguard thing from the start.
Yeah,
it just seems out of place from what I've seen of her in NWA.
I was actually just about to ask, who do you see coming for that TBS title for Mercedes Moné? So I guess Camille obviously won, but she's injured right now. So who do we think is a worthy challenger right now with Statlander dealt with?
Anna Jay won her match on the pre-show against Deanna Purrazzo. So I would say that, but she's just also coming off the women's world title. But it would be a good step down, maybe, to have a shot at winning that. I just don't want to see Anna Jay lose another match she doesn't need to.
Which brings a point. Who do we think could beat Mercedes Moné for the TBS title?
True.
Well, House of Black.
You think Julia Hart comes back?
Julia Hart. Yeah, David showing promo.
Oh yeah, he would.
Oh, she's been getting promos, but do you think she comes back and she could actually take that belt off of Mercedes?
I mean, you know, she was in that title picture before she got injured.
Not only in the picture, she had the belt.
So, you know, like, it would be a good spot for her to return.
BJ, who do you think would be a good challenger to step up against Mercedes Moné?
I don't know who's out there. Like Abaddon. I mean, I don't know. Like
Abaddon, who shows up once when Tony Khan needs her and then forgets that she exists.
Well, she's been doing good things with the Ring of Honor brand for Tony Khan.
She has, but it seems like Tony really wasted her potential in AEW.
We could probably say that about a lot of people, but that's another conversation for another show, another time, perhaps.
I don't know. Becky Lynch surprise signing. No, I don't know. Like who's out there? Like who's?
Yeah, that's a good point. The AEW women's division, they are trying to build it up some more, but it's not their strongest suit.
It's definitely like you got a couple names and then just like a bunch of people who you look at and they're like, oh, well, they're not winning a belt anytime soon. You know?
Yep. Yeah. Well, speaking of the women of AEW, I'm going to skip around the show a little bit here, but we have the Champagne Celebration with Mina and Mariah May. Oh my goodness, what a celebration this was. First, we have Mina Shirakawa come out. She introduces the love of her life, Mariah May, the AEW Women's Champion. They have their celebration. They have their champagne. They toast. They link arms. They drink. They start dancing. Next thing we know, Mariah's got a bottle in her hand.
And somewhere before we get to the nitty gritty of everything, I was waiting for Toni Storm to appear. So I felt like there had been teases recently. And then there was that interview earlier in the week where she said she retired.
Right.
Which I still think is a work somewhere along the way, but a reason to keep her off TV even longer. But then you get to the champagne celebration. Yeah. Mariah grabs the bottle and Mina turns around, ducks the shot that Mariah May tries to take at her and kicks the bottle and shatters it.
That was an impressive shatter on that bottle, I gotta say. That was very impressive. And then Mina just
spears her off the stage and through the table down there.
Yep.
And so I guess we know who's next for the AEW Women's World Title.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be a fun match to watch between those two. They've known each other for so long. They know each other so well. BJ, who do you think has an upper hand? Does Mina knowing Mariah so well, does that give her an advantage going up against her for that title?
I mean,
If it
Excuse me for
happens,
one moment.
you're excused. So BJ, what do you think? Does Mina have a shot against Mariah or what?
how hungry is she? You know, like how much does she want it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I think she seems to. She obviously she's heartbroken and crushed because the love of her life just tried to hit her in the head with a champagne bottle, and she had to spear her through a table. So I think Mina's
but
pretty heartbroken, and she's gonna need to get some sort of not revenge for that, but some sort of consolation for that. Does that
well, yeah,
consolation come from the belt?
but I'm saying, is she going to sit there and be heartbroken, or is she going to get be assertive? You know, I mean, that's definitely what they're working towards.
Hmm.
Uh, I feel like they're going to draw this one out, though. I feel like they got something here,
Hmm.
and especially like we said, how thin the women's division has been. Like, I think they have something to work with.
Yep. So now, something interesting. If Tony Storm has retired from wrestling, could she come back as maybe a muse for Mina Shirakawa? Could we see that like a managerish type of role?
Uh,
Could that be a way for Tony to come back in and maybe eventually come back and go for that title?
I mean, possibly, but I have a feeling it's just going to be just out of nowhere during a match, runs in kind of thing.
Hmm. So,
All right.
uh,
My bad. I heard something downstairs and I had to go check it.
I'll check. So, DG, with this whole situation between Mariah and Mina, I was just asking BJ if he thought that Mina had a shot at taking out Mariah. What do you think? Is
Eh,
there any possibility there?
If anybody knows Mariah May, it's me and Shirakawa. Like they have their former, I believe, women's tag team champions in Japan together.
Yep,
That,
stardom.
so there's a lot of history between them, and which was why it was shocking that Mariah was going to because couldn't resist the urge not to turn on her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess that just shows how deeply the snake runs in Mariah. She just can't help herself, and it's
She
like the
wants it.
parable.
She wants the spotlight on herself. She doesn't want
Yeah.
anybody else having that spotlight, even if it is her best friend. We've seen it with Tony Storm, who
Hmm.
mentored her, and
Yes.
now her best friend, who this whole thing was planned to happen with from the start.
Yeah. Yeah. So how devious is Mariah May? This is like evil genius levels of cunning that Doctor Evil is jealous of.
Uh,
So
it's
moving
almost
on.
Bond. It's almost Bond villain-esque.
Yes. So, next up, let's get it back on track onto the show. We have Jay White versus Adam Page, the Hangman versus the Switchblade. So,
Oh, what a match! What a
th-
match!
very good match. So, BJ, what were your thoughts seeing the way this whole match just played out and the intensity that these two went at each other with?
I mean, just absolutely amazing. But the whole time, I'm like, he's not going to get that win. He's not going to get that win. Like,
No, didn't believe it, not for a minute.
no, it's he's cursed. I mean, this is like the antithesis. It seems like.
Yeah, it just seems like Adam Page cannot beat Jay White, no
No,
matter how hard he tries.
Some guys just have another guy's number, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah,
So that's what the situation is here. You think?
absolutely. Like, it just seems like unless it's in an unsanctioned match, that he can't get the job done at all. Because because that's one of the few wins we've seen him pick up that was a big win, and it didn't count for anything.
True.
Jay White just has his number.
Yeah. We will come back to Adam Page and Jay White later on because there is some more to talk
Yes.
about with them. But for now, we'll move on to this next match between a couple of guys who we thought were brothers, Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Just the emotion coming in behind this match, the whole betrayal between Fletcher just turning on Ospreay at the behest of Don Callis after, Ospreay, we know that he knew what kind of a snake Callis is, and still he chose to almost ignore the warning signs that were there. Danger Ginger. Do we think that, Will Ospreay has learned a lesson here now? Or do we think that it was just he took a beating and gave a beating out, and it was just a hell of a match?
I mean, let's put this into perspective. No one from the Don Callis family lost last night.
No, they did not.
The Callis family had a clean sweep of their matches.
Yes.
So it's pretty impressive that you look at this. He took on Takeshita after Kenny Omega. Takeshita wiped the mat with Kenny Omega. He beat him every time. Now it's Kyle Fletcher turning on Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay, who many consider probably the best pro wrestler in the world right now, and beat him. Like, is there something to say that Don Callis is that good of a manager?
Seems that
he's taking these guys from he was part of the reason Kenny was so successful.
Oh yeah,
in the early days of AEW, and now we look at what he's done with the likes of Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita. Like, this is just been a trend, and it's going to keep going that way. Will Ospreay needs to learn to legitimately pull the trigger. There was a spot in that match, though, the tombstone on the steps. Oh, God.
Yeah, brutal.
Like, I really think that Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay is one of the two matches I saw that could have been the match of the night.
Yep. Sticking with the Callis family, and let's talk about that Takeshita match with the defense of the Continental Championship there. International Championship, my bad. So, yeah, against Ricochet. Ricochet coming in. We all know who he is, what his style's about. Good match. Good. Ricochet gave it his all, but Takeshita, he shows why he's the alpha. So, BJ, I'm going to bring it to you. Anyone challenging Takeshita for that belt anytime soon, you think?
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to, right?
Technically, yes, but who is going to be able to actually challenge him credibly to take it away?
That's tough. I mean, who's available? I mean, the roster's so big, but then you try to narrow it down to a division and like who would make sense here. And I mean, I don't know. Samoa Joe comes back and
Will Hobbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, David, he's just gotten re-involved with this story. He would be a good person for him to have a match with because you automatically look at Will Hobbs and see his size and power, and that's an automatic solid challenger for him.
Also a former Callis guy.
Yeah, so there's story there that it's already slowly being told.
Well, that makes sense. Like when I look at AEW's roster compared to WWE's roster, like I look up and down and I'm like, there's so many people and I don't know how behind some of these people, you know what I mean? When I look at WWE, I'm like, all right, here are the divisions.
Yeah, like, WWE also has a clear hierarchy of us as fans are trained to know this is what these people are doing. This is what these people are doing. When it comes to AEW, You have the main event, which, you can figure out these are the guys that are going to be going for that. And then you turn around and you look at everything else. You're like, well, I would throw Chris Jericho in that spot, but he's my Ring of Honor champion right now.
Right.
So maybe Big Bill.
Yeah. Could be another name thrown out there. We got a couple of guys that could be legit contenders for that belt there and for Takeshita.
I would say Kyle Fletcher, but they're on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of
Ospreay.
busy.
What about Ospreay? Does he go back after getting his belt back?
Why does he deserve the title shot if Kyle Fletcher just beat him?
That is a very good point. So, can Ospreay for now. All right, so next up, we've got 2 more matches left here. This next one, Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland.
Go ahead.
Hurt Syndicate. Yeah, Hurt Syndicate just coming in, making a statement here, just taking out Swerve.
That was not an easy match for Bobby, to say the least.
It was not. It was not an easy match for anyone.
No one's ever had an easy match with Swerve.
No.
I'm assuming nobody's really ever had an easy match with Bobby Lashley neither.
Oh, no.
But those two, they put on a heck of a show as the actual last match before the main event. Like, that was great. And then the attack afterwards on Nana. Yeah, I still think somewhere, some way, Swerve could choose to join them. Or he's going to become the main protagonist in their side like KO was to the Bloodline for 3 years. Yeah.
I
see that more. Go ahead, BJ.
I got to say, props to MVP. In 3 promotions for the last 12 years, he's been trying to run this same gimmick, and he's still doing it. It was the Beatdown Clan, it was the Hurt Business, and now it's the Hurt Syndicate. And I absolutely love it. The dominant, just like no nonsense, like we wear suits, but we will destroy you, kind of like. Absolutely love it. Love the whole thing. Love that he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Modern pro athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows that of how great these guys are. And also, just a side note, Bloodsport is tonight, where MVP will be going up against Josh Barnett, I believe, in the main event.
No way.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
But I can't wait to see where this story goes forwards. I doubt Swerve is done with them, but I think now Bobby Lashley could move on to other things. Let's put Bobby Lashley in that conversation against somebody against Takeshita.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I would, because I wouldn't want to feed Bobby Lashley right now to Mox.
No,
because it seems like but to get gold on him.
Yeah. We know how good gold looks around Lashley's waist.
Oh yeah,
and that's the whole point of all this.
Yeah,
especially with these new toys. Let's make it happen.
So, all right.
The beat down on Nana after the match. Whew, like that
definitely gives Swerve some impetus to go after the Hurt Syndicate for much longer.
Yeah. Just what were we going to do next?
We've got the last match of the night.
You missed a match. Daniel Garcia defeating Jack Perry by tapping him out for the TNT Championship.
Yeah, TNT champ.
This match was the other match I felt like could be match of the night. Like, they put on a great match. Like, there was a spot, the power bomb through the timekeeper's table was a really good spot. These two just was hard hitting after hit. Hit after hit. Garcia finally gets that championship.
He does.
Where does Jack Perry go from here now?
He is all alone. He's going to hide with the Young Bucks and Okada until, the Continental Championship happens and Okada has to resurface it. But otherwise, the Elite, we haven't seen them since Mox's group scared the living crap out of them and they ran out of the building and left Brandon behind.
Yeah,
we haven't seen the Young Bucks at all.
They lost those tag titles, and they're like, "Yep, we're out. We're working from home. Peace."
So, but speaking of John Moxley, him versus Orange Cassidy in the main event, just a absolutely brutal match, brutal affair. They went after each other with every ounce that each one of them had. Moxley, of course, deviously with the help of Death Riders, they come out on top, even with Orange Cassidy technically cheating, which who saw that coming? You've never seen Orange Cassidy have to try and cheat to win, and he
I
picked
didn't
up
know he
Mox's
cared enough to cheat.
yeah, he picked up Mox's briefcase and hit him over the head with it. Orange Cassidy, he does care about AEW and where he thinks it should go, and obviously thinks that Mox is taking it the wrong direction. But I don't know. After this, Orange Cassidy pretty soundly defeated in the end there, and then we have beatdowns galore all over the place, conglomeration, Death Riders, and we go out to the back, and holy shit, what an end to this show. So,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
literal car crash.
But
and who pops out of the car? But Darby.
of course it's Darby.
Spike Dudley's the original human lawn dart, but god damn is Darby trying to take his place.
Oh yeah.
This whole
overall
match,
impressions of this match first, guy. We're running real long on time here, but let's get some impressions on this match because this was a hell of a main event.
oh god, this match. Number one, the match starting out, Orange Cassidy hitting the orange Superman punch, orange punch, whatever, They essentially mimicked their first match from a year or two ago. I believe that was at Full Gear as well. And they really put on a great match. And then you eventually get to the whole interference. Willow even coming out to help.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They really did a great job with the match itself. As you said, Orange Cassidy picking up the briefcase. They've been teasing this darker side of Orange for a while now. And, he's not the one who introduced it. He was fighting Mox at his own game. That's what that was. Plain and simple. If you're going to bring it in to use it on me, then I'm going to use it on you. But now, after the match, you get them holding Orange Cassidy and then dumping disinfectant on him. Just for Adam Page.
Crazy.
Yeah. Just for Adam Page to come out. And
first.
Yeah. Like Adam Page is coming out to make the save. Like he's a heel, right? Or is he just another angry guy on the roster?
No, it seems like he's just an angry dude.
Yeah, he likes to burn things down,
After that, you get Christian Cage come out. He looks like he's going to cash in his title shot.
But as it looked like he was finally making the choice to do it, here comes Switchblade Jay White. Stops that. And we get more of them fighting. Oh, and then after that, we get the Death Riders finally escaping from ringside. We get everybody going to the back, as you said, and then Darby Allin being his own stunt, which who thought this was all good with the spot and everything. It's not the first time we've seen a car crash segment, literally. I think we've seen Stone Cold have a couple of them in his day,
Yeah.
And
Rikishi wasn't behind the wheel this time.
Definitely didn't do it for The Rock. But, and you just get them stealing somebody's car to get away at this point because he crashed into their truck. And the end of this show, I consider the whole show was slightly under par of what I expect from an AEW pay-per-view. Usually AEW pay-per-views are excellent. This just seemed like it was 3 steps above a Dynamite.
Well, at least it was above Dynamite and not below, Collision.
I might also be being nice, so.
The pacing was interesting because it was like bang, 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 done.
Yeah, especially for a show that moves so fast paced already. Like, you're already not giving us room to breathe on anything. And then the next thing you know, we get the end of the match and then just an all out brawl.
Very
Yeah.
busy at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot going on. But overall, I mean, solid show.
yeah, it was a solid show. As I expect more from an AEW pay per view. It was a solid show. I would say it was a B minus. Like it was, the end was overbooked and kind of confusing. Like, why is everybody coming out getting involved in this now? Where were y'all a month ago when Orange Cassidy was the one coming down calling everybody out? Where were you when these guys were coming around and just wrecking havoc everywhere? Now all of a sudden you want to get involved for what? Like, the booking of the end of that made absolutely no sense. Outside, what was it? To get Darby Allin crashing something?
Yeah. Yeah, that was literally the end game there.
This week, how does Darby Allin attempt to kill himself? Stay tuned.
No. But how many people can we fit into it before he does that?
Yeah, like you would think this would be a snowball effect type thing, you know. But no, it was just a lot of it. Like, all right, Paige, I got the whole Paige Christian thing and Jay White thing a little bit. You know, it's kind of like after that, because those three have kind of circled around each other a little bit. And so, all right, there's been a little bit there. After that, it's like, why? You could have saved that for something else. You could have saved that to show us Wednesday after the show. Like, hey, you know, these guys after the match were getting ready to leave the arena.
But the most important thing that did was leave it wide open.
Yes.
We don't know what the Death Riders are going to do next. We don't know when Christian Cage is going to cash in. You know, there's a lot wide open.
I mean, I just feel. Questions. I mean, and we would still have those questions without the overbooking of it, like Adam Page being involved. You could have just had Christian come down, attack Yuta, with the briefcase or his contract, whatever, attack Mox, and then still have that moment where Switchblade then comes down and makes the save, showing that now this story's moving on to the next thing because he's now done with Page, or somehow it's going to be involved in some type of triple threat to give Christian something to do for now. Because God, does he need it?
Yes, indeed.
You know, and then afterwards, like, just it was all that to happen to give time for Mox and them to get to the back to have to essentially steal a car because Darby Allin got his license out of a Cracker Jack box.
I don't know. That was a pretty precise hit to have been Cracker Jacking license, but
somebody needs the breathalyzing.
Yeah. Something tells me he was dead, stone cold sober when he did that. All right, gentlemen, that brings us to the end of Full Gear and the end of our show for this week.
Let's see. Anything else? Just real quick from Monday Night Raw, the Braun Breaker Sheamus Intercontinental title match. Yeah. Those two put on a great match just to have it end with Ludwig Kaiser coming in and inserting himself into that title picture. And props to Sheamus, because since he's returned, I see him coming out for a match, whether it's advertised or not. I'm looking forward to it because since he's returned, all his he's put on great matches night after night.
Yeah, and considering what he looked like the day he came back versus now, good on you, Sheamus, for whipping yourself back into shape.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he obviously just had the out of the ring weight that he put on there, and as soon as he got back in there, all that stuff came off, and he's
no more burger after burger.
Some other notes: Tony D'Angelo defeating Brooks Jensen on NXT with Sean Spears attacking Tony D'Angelo afterwards. Looks like they're setting that up to be his next title defense. You had Fallon Henley issue an open challenge that just broke out into an all-out brawl within that part of the women's division. Let's see. Anything? LA Knight successfully defended his U.S. title against Santos Escobar, and then Nakamura attacks LA Knight again after the match. Which, by the way, also
That feels like a setup for Saturday night's main event.
yes, the Nakamura promo and all that art that was involved that they showed during that and those videos and stuff, very well done. Like, I was really impressed and visually stuck to the TV, like, because it seemed like old anime style stuff and something that fit that type of character. And I really get Sith Lord Darth Shinsuke type vibe, like Star Wars. Just the way his approach has been something different. It's something different for WWE. And then you had Montez Ford beating Ciampa on SmackDown with the whole Ciampa DIY possible split up, the Street Profits turning heel. With that tag division is all over the place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then, oh yeah, my one last thing. Hey, the people at Access TV who air TNA on Thursday nights, you're probably not going to see this, but it has to be said. Please do not cut the picture-in-picture commercial when one of the wrestlers is in the ring cutting a promo on a pre-taped show. You could do that during matches or just wait for the promo to end and go to commercial. You kind of ruin the viewer experience some. Now, granted, Mike Santana, who was in the ring talking, did put that promo out on his social media, but just the idea that I'm assuming
I'm
that
already
was
watching the show.
Yeah, that was, I'm assuming, an Axis decision. That's something I would hold against TNA. But come on, get it together. You guys can do better than that. I get only like 5% of the country has your channel, but come on, you gotta do better.
On that note,
and then as always, guys, check out Spocast Tuesday on Johnny Cashmere's social media pages: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
And is there going to be a new Trip TV? Or no, the new one was just
passed. Speaking of that, the new Backseats t-shirt, you can contact them to if you would like to get yourself one. Shirts are awesome, very well made, very comfortable.
SPO hats also available.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm rocking the throwback shirt still. I gotta upgrade my hat and
my hat today was my Dragon Ball Z hat because
I'm rocking the Primal Fear, but I'm not about to mess up my headphones and turn it around.
All right, gentlemen. It's been fun. We will see you all next week again. Wrap it up.
Hey, yo, man, you got the check I mailed to you, right? To make sure to declare me the winner.
I told you, BJ's cash wins out every week. So BJ wins again.
This is horse crap. This is a screw job. This is just a screw job every week waiting to happen.
All right,
everybody.
Thank you for tuning in. Whichever way I am on your screen, I don't know. I went this way. But yes, thank you for tuning in this week. You can follow me at the Danger Ginger 1 on Instagram. BJ at BJ Drink.
Stepping all over this way. I don't know which way we're going, man.
You can find us somewheres.
Yes.
Now we've gone fully off the rails. It can't nobody go in a straight line.
Yeah. The ref's getting knocked out here.
Way to be, ref.
BJ in the stream.
Hey, so everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Drop a like if you feel the need. We would really appreciate that. And hopefully we'll see everybody next week. That's all we got for this time. Until next time, cheers.